respected Director General Madam, Director National Institute of Siddha, and all my seniors and my teachers over here, and all my fellow research officers and faculties from National Institute of Siddha, principals of all colleges, and beloved student. The main aim of this lecture, you are going to hear 3 plenary sessions today. All the 3 plenary sessions will tell you what Siddha has done at the time of the pandemic and what you have in store for research and what you can do in your future. So I request all the students to stay back. I know that I am between your mouth and your ear. I know that very well, but since we have a paucity of time, you should bear it, and I will try to complete my talk within the allotted 20 minutes. I will say that today is a day, one of the most happiest day in my career from 2006, because today is the day in which I got a word of appreciation from the nation's hallmark professor, Professor Bhushan Bhatwardhan, who said that Scopus has good number of Siddha publications, PubMed had good number of Siddha publications, and we have a lot of publications in invention. And he said that I was surprised to note that. At this point of time, I am owing all the publications to all the fellow research officers of Siddha Central Research Institute, and also from National Institute of Siddha, and also many medical officers who have burnt their entire lifetime from April 2020. On March 6, 2020, Government of India, Ministry of Ayush released guidelines for the pandemic mitigation. From the day, still today, we are still running on doing research, trying to make it into an evidence-based resource. So in the upcoming 20 minutes, you will be learning what we have done and what we have published and what is in store for us for the next future. You will be hearing this word wherever you go in a science community. They will be asking you to do an evidence-based research. It was very nicely spelled out. I think how many of you got an understanding of what Professor Dr. Jagannathan said. When you look into all the faculties of all the sciences, except Siddha or any traditional knowledge-based sciences, you will be knowing that research is an addition-based. But in our stream, research is an validation-based. What we do is we are validating what is in the Pandora box of Ayush already. So we should also go for addition research. So when you are going to do an addition-based research, it's very mandatory to have an evidence-based research and to do publication of that kind so that the entire globe should come back to you. It's not a time that we wanted Siddha to go into nations. You will be surprised to know that at the time of pandemic mitigation, around 4 countries were behind the Ministry of Ayush for taking Siddha drugs in an international arena. Since we have an HMSC approval for taking everything, it has been stalled for a very short period of time. It's not too beyond the time to say that Siddha will reach. But I can very assuredly, we can say only by way of creating evidence base, you are eligible to knock the doors of the globe. You can make a lot of backdoor entries, but that is not going to give you any of the chances to do. If you make a scientific attempt, try to publish. All young students are here. I can say that. And one Nilavembu Kudinir preparation at the time of chikungunya has made us to travel for 12 years in public health standards with Government of Tamil Nadu. So this is very, very important to create an evidence-based research. These steps are very much important. That is, you should concentrate on case studies, you should concentrate on case reports. Then you should look into the prophylactic observational studies to cull out any statement that you give in a case report or case studies. Not only these observation studies will help you, and a full-fledged randomized trials will definitely help you to go to the next step. You collate all the researches you have done, do a systematic review and publish it. The future medical science will take Siddha if you do this. And it's very, very important for me to put a word on gratitudes. I say my gratitudes to Ministry of Ayush, Director of Indian Medicine and Homoeopathy, Government of Tamil Nadu. Without their support, we would not have crossed any of the studies over here. And every system has a separate mentor, and our mentors have helped us a lot. And all deans and administrative staff in the medical colleges who have been helping us to proceed this research in various medical colleges. Central Council for Research in Siddha for their continuous monitoring, support and motivation. That's very important. Then all the IHECs of the respective institutes and peripheral institutes of Central Council for Research in Siddha, all the investigators and co-authors who have done their, what I am going to present here is not only the work done by any single individual. It's a collective environment in which it has happened. And all investigators and co-investigators, all core team members, including PA, co-investigators, the field staff, and also in the field investigators, even our DEOs have spent a lot of time in a COVID care center to prove Siddha is better than any other system. See, whenever you come across a very new disease, it's mandatory to know that is this disease already exists in Siddha's arena. If it exists, then you should go back and try a remedy for that. But we had a peculiar disease called as COVID-19, which was a very, very newly born child. And this child has not been named even. When it occurred in, what I am saying you think of in the December 31st, 2019, it was not named. It was named it was not named as COVID-19, it is only SARS-CoV-2 infection. Because we had a SARS-CoV-1 earlier, it was a SARS-CoV-2 infection. You need a naming ceremony. ஞானஸ்தானம் எல்லாருக்கும் பண்ணப்படணும் நோய்களுக்கும் சேர்த்து. So it became a very big rule of WHO, and the WHO named as COVID-19 in the month of January. You should know that we got locked down only in March 2020, but the name was COVID-19. So it's very important to know that it's become. So ministry asked us, you give us only one single disease name and we should go with that. And at the point of time, we thought of doing an analogical research, go and review all the literatures, come back with a very clear example. If you go and read the lines in the Kabajuram, the definition of Setmajuram, you will be surprised to know that there were mentions of anosmia, there were mentions of dysgeusia at that time, which were the symptoms which have been recorded at the point of time what I am saying. So our team of scientists went and did a very long literature review. You have the principal author, Dr. Susila, is readily available over here. You can go and ask with her if you have any of your doubt. This says about how we have named Kabajuram and how we have taken out the Kaburakuddin as an intervention. See, everybody should know that there was a two very important terms repeatedly used at the time of COVID pandemic. One is repurposing and another one is in silico. Repurposing is nothing that using a drug for not its purpose mentioned. That is repurposing. Using a drug for which it is not mentioned earlier. In 2016, when government of Tamil Nadu wanted us to do a research to find out a solution for swine flu, we took into Kaburakuddin, which has a close relationship with the swine flu, and we did a research, and in which we have found out that research has Kaburakuddin has a neuraminidase inhibiting activity, and neuraminidase is the protein which is going to give the pathological space in the swine flu. And we did a literature for that. This was published in the year around 15-16. This literature has not been published before 2020. You should know that. So from this, we started repurposing of using H1N1 as a drug of intervention with this ideology. See, how people took remdesivir. Remdesivir has been already working in the same type of disease. So they take, and so repurpose happened in this way. Then in the month of May 2020, you can go and verify the date of this publication. In the month of May 2020, we have proved to the entire scientific community that Kaburakuddin has a potential to inhibit the spike protein, and the spike protein is cause a damage to your entire respiratory as well as all your thrombolytic system. And so we proved that this spike protein has been inhibited by giving Kaburakuddin, and we did it via an in silico computational modeling. That's what Professor Bhushan was explaining to us. When entire medical world has now turned from normal in vitro, in vivo studies, before that they have started doing two things. One is in silico networking pharmacology and computerized modeling, and we have started doing it little earlier. This is a publication happened in the year 2019. I have my earlier DG Professor Ramasamy sir along with me. This was a publication which we did along with ICGEB of New Delhi, and we found that the Nilavembukuddin has a capacity to inhibit entry of dengue virus. If you go and refer back the virion mechanism of the dengue virus and the COVID-19, you can see that there are many of the background similarities happening in the pathological development. This happened in the year 2019, and this also had a very big support stream to take our system in a, by and large, to the public health support as a drug for dengue and also for at the time of COVID-19. It's very important. See, people from ICMR came to us and asked, do we have any proof to say that Kaburakuddin is immunomodulatory? The only one point that a Siddha physician has a confidence by treating his case, but the entire world should develop confidence on you only by the research. And we went and did a research to prove that Kaburakuddin is an immunomodulatory by in vitro methods, and also we proved that Kaburakuddin is thrombolytic. That is the point of very, very important point to ponder over here, that why Kaburakuddin is helping to limit hospitalization. See, people will very easily break out and say that for mild and moderate cases, Siddha is helpful. No, that's an escape point. For even in mild and moderate cases, it reduces the disease severity as a vaccine is doing now. I am a person who support vaccine at all the time, and I request every one of you to put the vaccine. But however, scientifically, Kaburakuddin has a therapeutic potential more than that of a prophylactic potential, which we thought that it will be having a prophylactic potential earlier, and we later researchers said that it has both prophylactic as well as a therapeutic potential. Then we go back and did a study, and we have been, that's what sir is repeatedly saying, that the antiviral activity of Kaburakuddin against SARS-CoV-2 has been proved, and it's more or less equivalent to that of remdesivir. I can say that remdesivir story is little different. I see, if you go and look into the medicinal plants, we have published a paper called as Protease Inhibition Activity of Medicinal Plants Used in Siddha for Communicable Diseases. You please go and refer back. See, protease inhibition is protease is very important for a virus to multiply. Many of our Siddha medicinal plants have a potential to inhibit those protease enzymes. So that's very important for us to know. See, every time when you come across a biotechnology student, I used to take many lessons from them, and you have a lot of answers for them in Siddha, and there exists a very big collaboration between biotechnology and Siddha. This is my Professor Dr. Sunil is here. Dr. Sunil has completely reviewed what are all the pharmacological properties, what is the herb which is important to have that pharmacological property, and they have published a paper. All the papers which I have mentioned here are either Scopus or PubMed or the preprint suggested by Ministry of Ayush. None of these papers come under a predatory journal. Then it is an efficacy study published by a student in 2016, which stood as a tool for us to satisfy our ethics member to say its safety and also the efficacy of Kaburakuddin. This is a safety study conducted very recently by people in Ethiopia. All the students are thinking that people used to say that we are debounded within India, but not. Scientists doesn't look Siddha as a system which has been debounded within India. And this is a communication, and the researchers of these publications, even though they are Indians, currently these publications came from Ethiopia. And you can see this is a long-term publication, and you can see how many number of clinical trials happened at that point of time, and the entire the amount of clinical trial registered at the time of COVID-19. See, CCRS has a credit of doing a prophylactic study with a 20,000 population, 3 randomized clinical trials with 3 medical colleges, renowned medical colleges, and among them one is a double-blind RCT, and a standalone intervention trial conducted in one of the specific COVID care center. Dr. Kannan and Dr. Sasikumar is readily available, who were the team behind doing this research. And we have also done a retrospective analysis, surveil analysis, 2 numbers. Sorry for that, because now another paper has also published. The retrospective analysis says about what is the benefit of the drug in an hospital stay. That's very important over here. Our prophylactic studies, I will just brush up the important points alone. See here, the graph shows among 20,000 population of the intervention group, only 24 turned positive. You should, what I am trying to say is, when we give Kaburakuddin continuously for 28 days, for 14 days and waited up to 28 days, when the surrounding structures, when the infectivity rate in the surrounding structures were high, only 24 out of 20,000 people turned positive for COVID. That is our success rate. And this particular publication is under review, and very soon it will be published in an once again a PubMed index journal. And next comes about the randomized control study, in which we had Kaburakuddin at one arm and vitamin Z and zinc at another arm. This becomes the straight comparison, and you can see that people who have a benefit of taking Kaburakuddin, they became negative very faster. That's very, very important to know that. See, this graph shows 66.7% of negative conversion in study group of Kaburakuddin, which has not happened in the opposite group of vitamin C and zinc. Next comes the third study, in which it has been compared. See, the effectiveness of Kaburakuddin and vitamin C supplementation in the management, both have been compared. In the earlier studies, it was only Kaburakuddin and also the vitamin Z and zinc, but it is little different. See, you can see the negativity of the study participants and the control. All the patients in the both groups were asymptomatic at the baseline and progressed to be symptomatic at the end of the treatment, you can see. And after that, in that, you can see that the people having in the study group, once again here, the people in the study group, they became negative very, very faster than the control group. So this is also one another study, and this study, if I am right, has been accepted earlier, and it will be published very soon. There are some confusions in the trial. Sorry. This is a study which I mentioned earlier. This study has 60 participants. It's the standalone Siddha. It's the standalone study in which we have observed the effectiveness of the Siddha combined therapy, not Kaburakuddin alone. And see, you can see the result. Out of 60 participants, 50 got negative on 7th day. You don't need remdesivir, you don't need vitamin C, or you don't need zinc for preventing you. You can see that 50 of the patients, these cases are mild to moderate. 7 participants get negative on 14th day, and 1 participant didn't turn negative on the 14th day. So it was a long COVID case, and the investigators followed the case for around 28 days, and they have, after that he became negative. This is a study of conducted in JIMS Noida. It's a randomized double-blind controlled RCT in which there were the interventions were given along with the standard allopathic treatment. In one we had a Nilavembu, one we have Kaburakuddin, and the other had a benefit of a green tea. And people who were in the Kaburakuddin became negative faster than the people in Nilavembu. However, the people in the green tea group had a success rate of the disease little later. That is our observation over here. This has been published as a protocol and also as a publication in the Trials Journal. You should know that Trials Journal is one of the most prestigious journals in the PubMed category. This is a very important study in which I thanked even Dr. Nirmala Madam and the team of Coimbatore. We got a data. We used to have a contact with many of the DSMOs, and we requested them to provide a data. And from the data, we did a survival analysis. Survival analysis is a time and event analysis in which what we will measure is what are all the different categories of events taking place in a different timelines. And our main ideology is to check out the survival period. That is, what is the time in which the patient has been admitted in an hospital, and how many days this patient has a length of stay. That was our motto, because at the time we came out of a publication having a benefit of 14 days. And slowly our studies, when our studies started, it reduced to a benefit of 11 days. See, around more than 200 patients have been admitted. Only one patient became very severe. That too, it's a patient of 87 years old with a lot of comorbidity. Even for that lady, RT-PCR became negative. But there was comorbidities. No mortality has been reported in the entire study period, even prospectively. And addedly, we had around 6 pregnant cases, which is already under, as a case series review is there, which will be published very soon. All the pregnant cases have been treated with Kaburakuddin, and we came to know that none of the pregnant cases have been reported to have any of the adverse event. However, the WHO protocol for a pregnant lady is to go for a C-section, and all the patients, all the pregnant ladies went for a C-section, all the kid is safe. This is our observation which we have done in this study, and this has been published in the European Journal of Molecular and Clinical Medicine, which is once again a Scopus indexed publication. Then comes one another very interesting publication made by the Dr. Samraj, and he is also available over here. Why I am naming every investigator means it is their time, their energy. See, we have been doing, DG Madam and also Director NIS are the members in the task force, and we have been doing only monitoring, study planning and doing a protocols. But the entire work has been done by them based on our guidance, and that's why I am saying this is a very important study in which we have analyzed eppadi ovvoru deyikku different vada deyiki how it was responded, pitta deyiki how it was a response, and among kavadeyi how it was a response. You can see that in the நீங்க என்ன பண்ணலாம்னா ஸ்டூடண்ட்ஸ் வந்து உடனே நீங்கள் வாததேகி பித்ததேகி கபதி உடைய பற்றியே அவங்களுடைய இம்யூனிட்டியை பற்றி புஸ்தகங்கள் என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கு அப்படிங்கிறத நீங்கள் போய் பார்க்கணும். இந்த ஸ்டடியுடைய ரிசல்ட் எப்படி இருக்குங்கிறத நீங்கள் பார்க்கணும். 71.4% டேக் மோர் 4 days. IM group அட்லீஸ்ட் 9 days of hospital stay. ஸோ நீங்கள் go and verify among what has happened. OI டூல்னு நாங்கள் ஒரு டூல் வச்சுருக்கோம். It was a IMR project outcome. We have used the tool. You can use this tool in your hospital. All private colleges can also use this tool in your hospital. If you contact Dr. Kannan, being a principal investigator of that project, he will give you an username and password. You can identify, analyze, and you can get into the stages of the diseases with various body constitutions. This is once again a case report which has said about the benefit of the integrative medicine. You can see that this is a case report. What we did in Coimbatore ESA hospital was a case report of the integrative, and there was an integrative approaches happening. See, it's very important. The national health policy is demanding integrative medicine, and you need to integrate, seeing that both the system is being appreciated by all the people. That's very, very important while you are doing an integrative plan. This is our very recent publication, which has been highlighted by Professor Bhushan in his lecture earlier. He said that Siddha people have stood alone by doing a computer modeling. See, why I am repeatedly saying this? The computer modeling block analysis could be done in each and every single formulations of Siddha. You have around 260 formulations listed in essential drug list used by every one of us, and there is an opportunity when you think on. This is one another very interesting paper in which we have analyzed how good we have complied with the preparedness and mitigation program of WHO. WHO has given you 8 procedures and 8 standard instructions to follow to mitigate. And we have been working along with Directorate of Indian Medicine from March 2020. And we published a paper looking into how we are, where we stand. We found out that the success of Indian medicine, of Directorate of Indian Medicine and all the research collaborators came when we have strictly followed, when we have very strictly adhered to the policies given by WHO. And so once again it became a publication over there, and we have published that here. To conclude, I will say that I have acknowledged, I have forgotten to acknowledge one man who is threatening the whole world from 2020. It's none other than COVID-19. For the entire world in which COVID is a threat, and for us, COVID is an opportunity. So if you are very strong, you can very easily, come out with a colorful results. And I will say that don't feel inferior at any point of time as you have selected Siddha. You should feel very much confident, and you can go and say an answer to the world proudly, as I am a Siddha official who is also a COVID warrior. See, all our studies have been vetted. See, Muri, I have forgotten to say about what is a Muri guideline. Muri guideline is a newer guideline, ethics guideline issued by WHO. During COVID pandemic, you should follow that guideline. There should be a central committee which should be screening. In all our other clinical trials, we don't have a central committee to screen a clinical trial. There should be a central committee to screen a clinical trial, and all our studies have been screened by the central committee of Ministry of Ayush. And only after that, we got all the studies being done. And all our studies have been ethically approved, and we have got CCRI registration for all the clinical trials. With this, I once again say my thanks to all the organizers for giving me an opportunity to dissipate the structures and happenings of Central Council for Research in Siddha and in Peripheral Institute. I request that all Siddha students should look into all the publications, and that is the only way. Science is the only way to prove you to the entire globe, and there is no other channels or background doors to make us proud to the entire world. Follow science. Thank you, one and all.